Welcome to Training Camp Report presented by Ticketmaster. Casey Phillips here with senior writer and editor Scott Smith. And as you can tell, we have a bit of a different scene today. We are in the glorious AC-filled indoor facility. It's wonderful to be in here, Scott.
That's the best part of it.
Yes, the
and
indoor.
It's a good break. It really is a good break for the players who have been through some really, really grueling late morning practices with feels like temperatures well into the hundreds. So you got to give them a break from time to time to make sure you don't wear them out. I think this is one of the ways you can.
Yeah, I wore a sweatshirt just because I could. Not because I needed to, but just because I could. I heard AC and I was like, let's do it. All right. Well, at yesterday's practice, we got to hear from Shaq Barrett, a guy who we know has been through a whole lot this last year, both family-wise and injury-wise. And it is just so great to see him back on the field with everybody and looking really great. So he was asked about how he's feeling and his recovery and getting back on the field.
Oh, it feel good. It feel like a long time coming. We took it at a perfect pace, get me ready for camp. Just I missed it so much, and I'm just happy to be out here to start getting back into practice flow, game flow, and just to be out here working with my teammates. I missed it a lot, and I'm happy to be a part of the team again.
Man, it is just so great to see him out there. There's a live shot of him at practice. He has changed numbers this year, so there's a good shot at that to remind everybody. No longer 58, he is number 7. What do you feel like you hope from him, expect from him, and maybe the outside linebacker group and what he brings to this team?
Well, for Shaq in specifically, Casey Rogers was talking earlier today, and he said when they broke from minicamp and there was that break in between, that at that point the coaches did not know at what percent Shaq would be when training camp started. He could have started on PUP. He could have been a few weeks out. He came right in, was full speed. He says he's almost 100%. He's not being restricted at all, so that's really great that he's that far ahead. And before I get into the other linebackers, I just wanted to point out one little thing about Shaq. Obviously was asked quite a bit and talked quite a bit, quite willingly, about the tragedy their family suffered losing their little daughter Araya and in the spring, and how that's obviously affected their lives. And along the way, Shaq was talking about how there's bad moments and you break down, and he leans on his family and they lean on each other, but you have bad days. He says, but it's not weakness to show your emotion. So, and then a couple days ago, Ryan Jensen was talking about how he had bad days sometimes and would just start sobbing while coming back. And I like that these players are saying these things where, like Ryan was saying, there's nothing wrong with that. It's life. It's what you do. And I can tell you from being around my son in high school baseball, that a lot of these younger players are starting to get that message that it's okay to show emotion, it's okay to ask for help. And I think maybe some of that is because they're seeing these high-profile athletes saying that now, instead of acting like you can't show any weakness if you're going to be an athlete.
I agree. I think that's so wonderful. And we always talk about the fact that pro athletes are role models for kids. And we've thought about that in a lot of different ways, and it is wonderful to know that it is also in a way of mental health, talking about being emotionally healthy and being willing to admit that there are hard times, hard days, even for them when everybody thinks once you're a pro athlete, life must be perfect, and that's never true, and it just shows such courage for our guys and shows why we love being a part of this team and this organization. It is such a wonderful locker room. So I know that also in addition to Shaq talking, we got to hear from Anthony Nelson, so it was kind of a outside linebacker day, and so I wanted to go ahead and let everybody hear a little bit about what he talked about as well.
Yeah, I mean, first thing that has impressed me with those guys is how fast they picked up the playbook, Todd Bowles' playbook. It's not easy to pick up. He's a guy that has a lot of schemes, and that's why he's so good, obviously, as a coach. But being able to step in and handle that playbook and really execute it at a high level has been the first thing that stood out. On top of both of them, they have a lot of physical ability that is going to translate, and it's just it's been cool to see them adjust so far and get better. And I know in 2 weeks after a couple more padded practices, I'm going to see those guys really humming. I could see them being really good players for us.
Well, we've talked about how Todd Bowles' defense is so fun for these guys to be in, but part of that is because they throw so much at it, which also means it's a little complicated at times. There's a lot to learn, a lot going on, and so for these rookies, I'm sure you already got the transition to the NFL, and then even among NFL defenses, Todd Bowles is known for throwing the kitchen sink at people,
and
including the rookies,
and
disguising things. So that was really cool to hear that he feels like, man, these guys are handling something pretty difficult very well.
Yeah. Casey Rogers was talking about a lot of these guys earlier today, and it really underscored what a wide variety of edge rushers we have now. You obviously got Shaq, who's a proven, 10 sack a season type of guy. He called Anthony Nelson a jack of all trades. He said Yaya Diaby has a whole lot of power and can set the edge. Jose Ramirez is a very just natural pass rusher. And Joe Tryon-Shake is so fast off the edge. Just a lot of different types that they can fit together. But yeah, the fact that Jose and Yaya are picking up the defense and all of its variety so quickly is obviously a great thing when you talk about hopefully that rotation being fleshed out by the time the regular season arrives.
And again, if people are just tuning in, we are in the indoor facility, as you can tell, a lot of fans here, and we are very excited, along with the guys, to be in the AC, and what a great break that is from the outside, how nice it is for these guys. Camp gets very long, and you want to make sure that they're in shape and ready for it, but you don't wear guys out too soon. And also, of course, as you can tell, they're right behind us here. That's the other beauty of the indoor. I promise.
It's always the big guys.
It's always the big guys. So I promise, if one of them comes to kill you from behind you, I'll let you know.
Please.
You watch.
I'll do the same for you.
We got our 6 here. All right. So let's talk a little bit of offense here. Russell Gage. We had talked about the fact that he had been out a lot of this last offseason with some different injuries. He'd missed the very beginning of camp, but now he did make an appearance out at practice. So, and he was out there making some plays. So tell us what you've seen from Russell Gage and what his status is.
Yeah, it's kind of a big story. He was really the only guy when camp begun that wasn't able to practice that first day as he's overcoming some leg injuries. But he got out there about 4 practices in and did indies. That's how they bring him back in. They let him do some individual drills, and then they watch the rest of it, right? Well, you worry, is there going to be a setback? You have that first practice, and you're hoping they're good enough to go. Well, there was no setback. In fact, on the second day, he did a lot more. He did all the one-on-one drills. We had some highlights of him catching a touchdown on Buccaneers.com. And so for him to progress in one day like that is a really good sign, and hopefully he'll be in the team drills soon, because that's the Bucs' presumptive number 3 receiver.
Yeah, and I think we have a clip of a Trask to Gage pass from yesterday, so we'll take a look at that.
Yeah, this was during one-on-ones.
Look at that.
And he got deep, and
that's a great catch.
Rookie cornerback Keenan Isaac there, and
another guy that changed numbers. I'm convinced they're doing it just to mess with us, right as I've got it all figured out. All right, and another guy we talked about, Gage, on the injury front. We talked a little bit about the fact that Kalijah Cansey had an injury the other day. Do we know anything in terms of an update on that and his status?
Not officially necessarily, because of the way this schedule has gone. The day after this occurred, Todd Bowles informed us that that was yesterday, he hadn't had the MRI yet. He was going to have it that afternoon, so we would know more then. And if we'd had a chance to talk to Coach Bowles before this practice, we might have an official update, but we're going to talk to him afterwards. Obviously, I'm sure almost everybody has seen,
there's a large man coming this way. In the terrifying black helmet, too. We got a Darth Vader look going on. He's a man of few words.
Remember what I was talking about after that?
Yeah.
What was it? Kalijah Cansey.
Right.
Okay, so I'm sure most everybody has seen some outside reports that it may be like 4 weeks, which would have him back in plenty of time for the start of the regular season. I'm sure Todd will have some more to say about that after practice, but it looks like it's not worst case scenario, that there's a very good chance he'll be ready to go when the season begins.
And you brought up the one-on-ones when we watched that Trask to Gage pass, that's always one of the things we love watching in training camp is the wide receiver DB one-on-ones. We also have Devin Tompkins, Josh Hayes going against each other, which is an interesting little duo there.
Right.
A guy that really proved himself last year, and then Josh Hayes, a guy that's trying to prove himself this year. What do you see from the two of them and the matchup like that, and what you think each of them could mean to this team?
Well, on Devin Tompkins' very first rep in that one-on-ones, and I don't know if it was against Hayes or not, but he got deep down the left sideline and had a good couple yards separation on his defender, but the ball was a little farther than probably intended, and he actually had to make a diving straight out catch. So it was a great route, great separation, and then an amazing catch at the end, so that was great. And then I think 2 reps later, Tompkins lined up in the slot with Josh Hayes, who's the 6th-round rookie out of Kansas State, one of the guys that has a shot to be the nickel corner. He was covering him. Devin came off the line, made some sharp moves with his feet, and then cut sharply inside across the middle. And that's a tough route to cover in that short space, but Hayes stayed with him, and when they tried to throw a short pass over the middle, he was able to knock it away. So that's a drill that really favors offensive players because they know where they're going. The DBs don't, and there's no pass rush, there's no other help. So if you get a PBU in that drill, you've done something really good. So that's good to see out of Hayes because that slot corner job is wide open.
All right, well, we are going to take a quick break here. We'll be back with plenty more in Training Camp Report presented by Ticketmaster. For now, enjoy another part of that Bay episode I did with Baker Mayfield playing golf.
Tell Tell me your thought process. You approach a tee. Do you have a routine?
I probably should have a better one. Try and envision what shot I want to hit or where I want to stay away from. And then just go.
Full send.
Yeah,
Full send.
Can I just bother you to take
I'm an
this
effort
one?
guy.
And I'll give it right back to you. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you
I don't
so
think
much.
I'm tied to it.
Look at that.
That's the part of golf that I like, you know?
Yeah, I think that's the part
When
that we
you
would
try
all
and do
like.
something and you actually do it.
That was delightful. Are you someone that is competitive about everything? Or is it select things?
Pretty much everything.
Yeah.
I won't touch a basketball. I'm probably the worst basketball player you've ever seen in your life.
How do you feel about how you look playing football? Like when you watch film? Because I remember last year, like Carl Nassib talked about how he found out he ran like most in the office and he was all upset. So,
Oh, Carl.
what do you think when you watch yourself play football?
I hate to say it, looks like I'm trying really, really hard.
All good.
You're not one of those people that's like, oh, it just looks so easy.
No, it doesn't look smooth. There's some things I do that look smooth, but for the most part, it looks like I'm grunting. It's not where I wanted that to go. That's the other thing that people are like, stop trying to hammer the ball.
Yep.
Let the club do the work. I'm like, my whole life I've been a control freak, so how can you tell me that now?
Yeah. What kind of a leadership QB are you?
I love to know how people tick, like how they're wired, so I'm not necessarily like a rah-rah guy. I'm not always vocal, but I will talk a lot of trash to you, just to get under your skin.
All right, well, let me see. Give me your best shot.
That's not necessarily for you.
But what if that's what motivates me right now? What if that is all that's standing between me and being Tiger Woods at
I
this
think
moment?
I should have did in baseball.
My grandma
I
has
think I
called
should
it.
have.
She doesn't play golf.
Because I got switch hit. But
Oh,
when I went
see?
to
Look at
just
that.
straight,
That's all I needed.
Just a little trash talk, and now you're just striping the ball.
Take that, Grandma.
This hand stays on the back.
Hey, she's a nice lady.
Ooh, look at that. That's beautiful.
Be the number.
Wow.
I think I got embarrassed.
So apparently the trash talk did work for you as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh-huh. Good to know.
Welcome back into Training Camp Report presented by Ticketmaster, and now I am so excited to be joined by a very special guest, none other than Mr. 2 Pick Sixes himself, Dwight Smith. How's it going, man?
I'm doing way better than I deserve.
Oh,
So
I
no
love it.
complaints from me.
Again, if people don't know, which everyone watching this show knows, this is the guy that got 2 pick sixes in the Super Bowl. So forever a legend here. Oh, and look at this. We even got the highlights. How many times do you think you've watched this since it happened?
Do you want me to be honest, or do you want me to act like
100%
I'm a
honesty.
guy that
Yeah.
doesn't, I don't watch myself or something like that?
Yeah, of course you've never
Yeah,
watched it, but
yeah,
if you had, how many times would you have watched
We're
it by
probably
now?
on about time 100,000.
I love it. I think you deserve every single one of those. All right, so tell me, let's take a look at this team here this year. This defense, Coach Bowles' defense, I know you've watched some of it. Tell me, A, what you would have liked about playing in it, or just what stands out to it about you.
Well, first I would say I'm jealous of the way they use Antoine Winfield Jr. I feel like we're kind of in the same mode of type of players, guys who are ball hawks, but we love to, get down and get into it a little bit. So I would have loved to have that type of freedom that he has in this defense, to play behind the linebackers that he has in front of him in this defense. Shaq Bear is back. Sorry what happened with his daughter. We hope that he's able to get that out of his mind by getting back to doing what he loves to do. I don't see but good things coming for the defense. As long as guys can stay healthy, we know that's the number one name of the game in professional sports is staying healthy. So if these guys stay healthy, the sky's the limit.
Yeah, that's a big deal. And your guy Rondé going in the Hall of Fame this weekend. Tell me when you heard the news and just what you thought about the fact that another guy from a Bucs defense getting in there, and then just about Rondé and how deserving he is.
Well, first off, that's my guy. I was his rookie, so he took care of me my 4 years here, and a guy that's just a student of the game, a guy that you look up to in the way that he carries himself on and off the field. I'll be there, this weekend to see him in Shrine. when I first heard it, I was like, finally well-deserved, because the things he did on the football field is amazing. The way he can anticipate and be where the ball is going to be is unmatched. He's one of the greatest guys to the ball I've ever seen in my life.
Did he make you do anything as a rookie player?
No, but Dungy was our coach, and Dungy didn't really allow those things, besides having Popeye's chicken for the road trips. Outside of that, it wasn't no hazing.
That seems fair. All right, so then I know also just finally the creamsicle, you didn't get to wear it. I see the pain on your face. I know it's devastating. When you saw it come out, what were your thoughts?
For a fashion guy like myself, I would have been able to dress that thing down. Do you hear me? I could have made that thing look real, real good. I had to have myself a creamsicle jersey made after I, got done here, because they were still so traumatized by wearing it when I was here. So now at least these guys get a chance to put that all in the past and go out there, and hopefully somebody can dress that thing down how I would have.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much, Dwight, for joining us. We really appreciate it, and enjoy the rest of practice.
I thank y'all for having me.
Awesome. All right, we're going to be back after this quick break. We're going to watch Joe Tryon at the Rays game doing a little bit of stingray petting. We'll be right back.
Oh yeah, this is sick.
Thank you.
Hello.
Are you excited?
Yeah.
Are you nervous to touch them at all, or no?
I see them when I'm walking on Bayshore.
Oh yeah.
These things are huge.
They're huge.
What's up, big boy?
Ooh. Oh man, this is where your long arms are
I'm
gonna
scared.
come. You did. You pulled it up so quick. You went in real confident and then immediately
I didn't
regretted
want to
it.
put my whole shoulder in the tank.
Yeah. You're
Come
gonna
over
be
here,
able to
boy.
get him.
Say what's up.
Oh.
Oh hell no. He's slimy.
What did you think it was gonna be? Did you have an idea of what
I
this
thought
was
it was
gonna
gonna
feel
feel
like?
like leather. I didn't like that, but I'll do it again. That's crazy. They have this at a baseball game.
Yeah.
Yo, he's huge.
Yeah.
Dang.
Yo, look at that.
Oh, heck, bro. I wonder how much he weighs.
Probably like nothing. Cool.
I wonder how fast they can swim.
I don't know.
They got the aerodynamics to them.
You gonna take some notes, pass rushing.
Yeah.
Can we start calling one of your
Right.
signature moves the Stingray? Is that it? When you slip right
Yeah.
through?
Yeah,
the
that'd be actually
Stingray?
kind of dope.
It's time for our final segment here on Training Camp Report, presented by Ticketmaster. Look at all those fans. These are the lucky ones that get to watch practice in the AC. But it has been so great to see indoors, outdoors, rain or shine, heat, whatever. Bucs fans show up and show out for these practices, and I know it makes a difference to the guys. Training camp can get long and monotonous, and I can hear a Tampa Bay chant going right now that it makes a big deal. It's a big deal to these guys that day in, day out, they're putting in the work, and to have fans add a little energy and a little juice is helpful. So it's been great. We're going to do our final segment here about the tight ends. This is a group we've kind of been going in these last segments, position group by position group, breaking down the guys that we have here. And this is a group that I do think is really interesting, that there's been a lot of shake-up in this position room the last few years.
Yeah.
And they are intriguing in that your elder statesman in the room is a second-year guy. So tell me what we're seeing from this group and what people should keep an eye on in
It's
camp.
a pretty dramatic 2-year evolution from basically Rob Gronkowski and Cam Brate to a room full of, first and second year guys. So you spend 3 draft picks in 2 years on tight end, you're obviously remaking the whole position. And it got a good boost last year with Cade Otton, who really came in and did a nice job taking over that starting role pretty quickly, and that full Y two-way tight end kind of role where he's on the field. You don't know if it's a running play, if it's a passing play. He was actually led the NFL among all rookie tight ends in catches, made some really nice plays down the seams, showed he could be on the field for every type of play, right? Then you draft Payne Durham, and then you also had Keefe later in last year's draft. So you've got 3 guys that you can mix and match in various types of 12 personnel. What we're showing up here is what I think might be our most common 12 personnel, because 12 means 2 tight ends, and that's what you're seeing here. When you think of Keefe, he's really a guy they move around a lot of different places to block. But when you're talking about one tight end on each side of the line or bunched together on one side of the line, and either one of them could go out, could catch passes, either one of them could end up with 30, 40, 50 catches on the season, I think it's probably more this group. But you got a lot of guys to mix and match in there, and you see some others. Tanner Towla is an undrafted rookie. Dominique Daphne is a guy we got kind of late last year. And then David Wells is a guy that we've actually seen show up quite a bit in these practices, make some nice play, had a couple touchdowns the other day. And the question there is, when you're talking about that, do the Bucs keep a fourth tight end? Which may depend on, do they keep a fourth running back? Do they keep a sixth or a seventh receiver? So it's a little bit of give and take there, but if one of those guys shows enough, like David Wells has early on, that might convince them enough to keep a fourth guy there, especially if a couple of them can help out on special teams, which obviously Keefe can very much.
Yeah, that's going to be really interesting, and it does feel like this is something that would fit really well in Canales' offense, to be able to know how much they prioritize running the ball, but then also really want to give their quarterbacks a lot of options. And if you can get some of these guys, especially that you feel like, get some of these guys that are pass-catching guys but can improve their blocking or get to where they can be. That was what was so big about Gronkowski, was that when he was out there, you didn't know. It wasn't a giveaway of are they running, are they passing. He was so good at both, it didn't give anything away. And I feel like that would be so important for this Canales offense, to have more of these guys become kind of that double threat of not giving away what they're going to be out there for.
And I think we may have talked about this a week or two ago, but if you look at the numbers from the Seattle offense, which is where Dave Canales came from, compared to the Bucs offense the last couple of years, they were using that 12 personnel almost twice as often as the Bucs were under their previous offensive coaches. So does Dave Canales necessarily import all that same stuff? I'm sure he'll have his own wrinkle on things, but to me, when they drafted Payne Durham in the 5th round this year, after the 2 draft picks last year, that signaled to me that we probably are going to see a lot of 12 personnel. And if we keep 4 of them, there'll be a lot of different possible combinations.
Yeah, which is always a fun thing for us to watch in the offense as well. All right, well, that's going to do it for us on this edition of Training Camp Report presented by Ticketmaster. Thank you so much for tuning in. Tomorrow is an off day for the team, but then we will be back with another show on Thursday, so we'll see you then.